Coming up on Mountain News this morning, plans to dismantle the Department of Education are set to begin today as protests spread nationwide. And Governor Beshear provided an update for how FEMA assistance is dwindling out to Kentuckians.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning and a happy Thursday to you. I'm Amelia Lee here with you on this March 20th, and the time is 6:28, which does mean that it's time to check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal for a look at that forecast. Megan, it is the first day of spring. I've got my flowers to kind of show that I am excited for that, and you've got your blue.
I do got my blue. I'm celebrating and holding on to winter, right? I mean, that's kind of what the weather's doing today. It's saying, wait, hold up, we're not ready for spring just quite yet. Let's drop those temperatures down. And that's pretty much what your forecast is for today. Now, we do have a little bit of fog in the area, so let's take a look at that visibility. Seeing some fog as you approach Harlan, Jonesville, just exiting Middlesboro. So if you do encounter some fog on your drive, make sure you're driving slow and you have your low beams on. But here's a look at that rain, which is kind of spring-like, you'd expect, right? So we're seeing that rain move through. We're seeing that the heaviest rain is as you're traveling a little bit more towards the north, towards Mingo and Logan County, West Virginia, as well as Wayne County and Lawrence County, Kentucky. Now, here's a look at those temperatures. Now, what I mentioned earlier about how spring's saying, hold on, well, it's letting you have a little bit of that taste of spring since we're seeing 50s and 60s right now, but temperatures will be dropping throughout the day. This is the warmest that you're going to expect those temperatures to be. And here's, in fact, a better picture of that forecast for today. As you head into the afternoon, temperatures will be dipping into the low to mid 40s. So spring's not here just quite yet weather-wise.
Well, we have some developing overnight news from Pike County. Officials say a fire broke out yesterday near Town Mountain Road. There are currently no crews there, but the situation is being monitored overnight. It's not considered a dangerous fire at the time, and we'll update you as we learn more. The president could keep a controversial campaign promise today. Officials say he'll formally order Education Secretary Linda McMahon to start dismantling her department. Amy Kiley reports public school advocates say they're worried about the impact on students.
I'd like it to be closed immediately.
Officials say President Donald Trump plans to sign an executive order today to begin tearing apart the Department of Education. Whether to shutter it completely is up to Congress. An administration official says the order will start the process of shifting education authority to the states.
Since the Department of Education was established in 1980, we've spent over $1 trillion to see our scores continue to go down.
Trump says the DOE is a sign of federal overreach, but it's unclear how many states want to take on its responsibilities.
The State Department of Education has had funding cut after funding cut after funding cut.
Oftentimes what's concocted in Washington, D.C. when it goes out to Montana doesn't exactly fit.
A senior administration official says funding for students with disabilities and low-income schools won't change. Those programs account for much, but not all, of the support K-12 schools get from the federal government.
Educational opportunity is not government waste. It's something that is very central to what makes America great.
The National Education Association president says dismantling the DOE aims a wrecking ball at the futures of 50 million students. Legal challenges are already in the works. The executive order follows the department's earlier announcement that it's cutting about half its staff.
It only hurts the most vulnerable, our children.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Some Kentucky teachers, students, and parents protested their concerns over the proposed dismantling of the Department of Education. The Trump administration says it's trying to return the power to the states, but it's important to note the department does not decide what's taught in schools. That's determined at a state and local level. The Department of Education does provide financial assistance and federal grants, which make up $1 in $5 for Kentucky education, according to the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy.
The federal government, through the Department of Education, guarantees that she gets that funding and that she's able to have those resources. I don't need her to struggle more. I need her to have the help she needs.
Most funding is divided into paying teacher salaries, special education, and school lunches. There was a walkout yesterday at Berea Community Schools after leaders announced significant cuts earlier this week. School leaders say the cuts come after a nearly $1.3 million deficit that was projected. Hundreds of Berea students wanted to make sure their voices were heard on this matter. They walked out of Berea Community's front doors during the school day in protest. Some staff members joined the protest, including some who were personally impacted by those cuts on Monday. Folks also protested in Lexington outside of an event where 6th District Congressman Andy Barr spoke yesterday. Protesters there say they want more direct communication with Barr regarding his alignment on some of President Donald Trump's policies. Barr says he feels a large responsibility as congressman to listen to people's concerns when they don't agree with him. He says he's planning to conduct a telephone town hall on Monday. Yesterday, there was a drug bust in the Allen community. The Floyd County Sheriff's Office matched a vehicle to a drug-related complaint they received earlier in the day. After stopping the vehicle, deputies deployed K-9 Zoe, who found 40 grams of crystal meth. Officials charged Kevil Quellen for first-degree trafficking of a controlled substance. A Salyersville man is facing charges after police found drugs with him. It happened last week when police got a tip about Matthew Owens heading somewhere to sell meth. After they pulled over the vehicle they were looking for, Owens was told to get out. Police say they discovered more than 97 grams of a substance believed to be meth, in addition to nearly 2 grams of believed to be fentanyl. Owens was taken to the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. Well, we have new details about a deadly fire that happened at a restaurant in Claiborne County, Tennessee. Officials with the sheriff's office say the name of the person who was killed in the fire was 35-year-old Claudio Lunas Matias. The fire happened a few weeks ago at the Bronco Mexican restaurant in Harrogate. The TBI is still investigating what started the fire. A disagreement between neighbors turned violent at a home in Berea yesterday. It initially started as a peaceful exchange, but later went south. The victim told police that her neighbor came over with a vase and fake flowers. After the victim told police that Victoria Blakeman could not have items that Blakeman claimed were owned by her mother, police say the victim told them she was hit in the face several times.
Based off the citation, said that the victim had a black eye, and bruising to her face, and a bloody nose. The roommate answered the door and said that Miss Blakeman was talking out of her head all day.
The victim was not taken to the hospital but was going to seek medical care on her own. Blakeman remains in jail on burglary and assault charges. Governor Andy Beshear hosted a Team Kentucky briefing yesterday. During his update in Frankfort, the governor says several counties in eastern Kentucky were approved for disaster loans, and we have that full list on our website, WYMT.com. He also says the process filing applications for FEMA individual assistance is going much smoother this time around compared to the July 2022 flood.
As of March 17th, FEMA has approved more than $22 million in housing and other types of assistance to more than 3,800 Kentucky households. More applications are being processed daily, and it's going a lot smoother, the FEMA individual assistance, than it did in 2022.
Also during his update, Governor Beshear congratulated all of the basketball teams from the state that made the NCAA tournament, recognizing them as Team Kentucky All-Stars. Governor Andy Beshear says he's vetoing a House bill that would allow Kentucky Department of Agriculture employees to apply for and receive grants and loans from the Department of Agriculture. In yesterday's Team Kentucky briefing, he said House Bill 216 would allow the practice, which has been prohibited under state law and ethics opinions.
So this isn't, to me, about that department at all. It's about no one should be able to work in an agency and then apply directly to that agency for a loan or a grant from it.
It's also anticipated the governor will veto several other bills. Those include House Bill 495, which would overturn Beshear's 2024 executive order banning conversion therapy in Kentucky, and Senate Bill 89, which would loosen restrictions for waterway pollution. The Department of Vehicle Registration is hosting a pop-up driver's licensing event. It's happening at Hazard Community and Technical College through Saturday, with operating hours from 9 until 6. The event is walk-in only. They'll offer license renewal and personal ID upgrades if you do have that proper documentation. Cash is not accepted at the pop-up, but they will be able to take cards, money orders, or personal checks.
and they are helping people who may have lost their driver's licensing with the flood. So anyone who lost their licenses with the flood, they are assisting them in getting those licenses back.
They will also have vision screening tests for folks to take. You can go online to drive.ky.gov to see what documents you need to bring with you. An Eastern Kentucky police chief is set to retire on April 1st. Greg Fugit served as police chief of the Louisa Police Department since 2011. He was hired as a patrolman in 2002. According to a post on the department's Facebook page, Fugit began his career in public service at the age of 15, volunteering as a firefighter with the Loumansville Fire Department. Sergeant Stephen Wilburn has been appointed interim chief. Well, here's an event that's 17 years in the making. It will occur in central and eastern Kentucky later this spring. Billions of cicadas lying in the ground since 2008 will emerge and create quite the noisy setting. The group of cicadas is called Brood 14. Jonathan Larson of UK Entomology says you can expect these noisy creatures to emerge from the ground around late April to early May.
They're not going to attack crops or garden crops or anything like that. Mainly what we see is that they will lay their eggs in the twigs of branches of trees. When they do that, the female cuts a slit in the branch, and as she does that, it can create flagging. The branch may sort of sag in the tree.
This activity will last for about 6 to 8 weeks. The cicadas will then die off. The new cicadas will hatch later in the summer and then head into the ground until they re-emerge 17 years from now. Friends helping friends. That's what Old Friends Farm is doing for their neighbors to the east. The Thoroughbred Retirement Farm in Georgetown auctioned off halters worn by Kentucky Derby winners Silver Charm and Giacomo. They raised more than $4,000 for the East Kentucky Dream Center. It's a group providing emergency flood relief for people in Pike County.
Here are the observed highs since midnight, and as you can see, well, temperatures were quite warm. We were looking at 70s, but we've had that front kind of move through. You can kind of see how Lexington's at 58. Well, that moves into our area, and now we're looking at temperatures in the 40s and 50s, seeing no 60s anymore, and we'll continue to see those temperatures drop as you're going throughout the next couple hours of today. Here's a look at that live pinpoint Doppler radar. As we've been seeing this rain system move its way through, it's kind of halfway done with the area. But don't be fooled. Once this system makes its way out, there's another one coming through, giving us some scattered showers throughout the rest of your day. Here's a look at that bus stop forecast. As you're heading out the door, about 50 degrees on the way to school with those chances of rain in the forecast. By the time you're heading home, that's when that scattered showers will be moving into the area. So you still have a chance of seeing some rain as you're going home with temperatures in the mid-40s. Amelia.
Thanks, Megan, and thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:41. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. We'll take a look at different ways to save when traveling to the Magic Kingdom.